Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 95 of Sports Speak. Hope you're doing well. I'm Eddie Kalegi. No Tim today, but we do have a special guest. It's Tommy Coughlin from Major League Wiffle Ball with the 2022 season just a couple of weeks away. Draft just happened, spring training on the way, and then the start of the regular season. So, Tommy, thanks again for joining us here on Sports Speak.
Thank you, Eddie, for having me. It is a pleasure as always.
So before we talk about the upcoming season, of course, last year, I feel like this league took a major jump. Of course, there's been major strides that the league has taken, but of course, Kyle Schultz and Jimmy Norp on TBS getting to play wiffle ball with Curtis Granderson and Jimmy Rollins. But before I get to that, I want to talk about something. Obviously, you guys have been doing a lot of tournaments, in other states, but also, you had the Oklahoma series last year, which was a very cool opportunity for the league. So could you talk a little more about how the league over the past years, and especially last year, have not only with tournaments, but also with regular season play sort of expanded outside of Brighton, Michigan?
Yeah, like you said, it's been we've had a lot of new and exciting opportunities pop up, especially over the last, calendar year. And I think all of it just stems from, the foundation we've built with MLW. Yeah, a lot of new and exciting opportunities that I think stems from, just what we've built with MLW being, a group of dedicated guys and, Kyle Schultz being our league's commissioner and our YouTube editor. We've just been at it for a very long time, and we've been fortunate enough to have, built a real fan base for the league. So with that, comes opportunities that a lot of others who have had leagues before us or currently have leagues um, don't necessarily get. So just talk about one of them. You mentioned the Oklahoma series. We've always kind of had the idea of playing a series somewhere else, whether it be like a nice facility or like in Florida somewhere or like at a real like baseball field, whatever it may be. And this resort, it's actually a golf resort in Oklahoma, the Shangri-La Resort, was just doing a big, multi-million dollar expansion of their resort and adding what they call the Anchor. So it's like a big activity center, kind of geared towards kids. It'll have basketball courts, pickleball, arcade, VR, golf simulators, a restaurant, all this kind of stuff. And one of the amenities was like a professional wiffle ball field that's, full turf, Fenway replica of the wall and that kind of stuff. And the director of the facility actually stumbled across our channel and thought, we would be good candidates to potentially promote this new facility and all of its amenities, not just the wiffle ball field. So after a few short Zoom calls, doing some brainstorming and whatnot, we thought it'd be cool to just pack our bags and bring what we usually do in Brighton, Michigan, out there to Oklahoma and show our viewers what they have going on at that resort. So it was cool and new and exciting and fresh, and I think the views that video got really reflected that, and it makes us excited to keep trying things like that and never shy away from any new opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of new opportunities, you knew I had to bring it up. Baseball playoffs, Major League Baseball playoffs. You put on TBS, the post-game show, and Kyle Schultz and Jimmy Norp are there playing wiffle ball with some of the greats, some of the baseball greats. Pedro Martinez is there, Curtis Granderson, Jimmy Rollins. A great time for you guys. Could you talk about, you mentioned specifically, for example, with this opportunity in Oklahoma, how you guys have not only been trying to expand, Major League Wiffle Ball and play outside of Brighton, Michigan, but also help to promote, other amenities there. How was the opportunity at TBS, something that developed for the league, and how did that help you guys continue to expand and get some more attention for this league?
So that opportunity kind of came up actually via Bleacher Report, which I'm
Hmm.
sure a lot of your listeners are familiar with that platform of sports media. They are very closely integrated with ESPN and SportsCenter. So just over the years, via direct messages, we've sent, tons of clips to Bleacher Report, whether it's like an amazing play we've had, like a top 10 play candidate, like a pitching montage, a home run montage, whatever it may be. We share DMs with Bleacher Report pretty frequently, and then maybe, 10% of the time we'll get a response like, hey, do you mind if we share this on our platforms? And so that's really the extent of our interaction there. But we knew at least like we were on their radar, and when we would DM them, we could at least see that they were seeing the messages, which is cool. You're at least reaching the people you want to reach. And then out of nowhere, we just kind of got a cold direct message saying that there was an opportunity. Once again, conference call, a Zoom call is set up, and they presented us with the idea. So it's unbelievable, and it means a lot to us in the league because I think unfortunately especially in the older generation, YouTube is kind of not really seen as like it's not seen the same way as TV is or traditional entertainment and media. So it really provides, a validation stamp on your product when your brand and your people and your league is featured on a network like TBS. It makes you seem very credible, even though you already feel that way, and like YouTube is a legitimate thing. It really adds another piece to your argument there about your credibility.
Yeah, for sure. And I've noticed too, specifically, at least I've noticed this trend over the last few months since the TBS opportunity. You see, obviously, Major League Wiffle, like you said, being on YouTube, being on social media, it's generally going to attract younger viewers, especially wiffle ball being a sport. You see it at the tournaments, a lot of kids come out to play. But I've seen so many adults responding recently on Twitter and stuff, talking about how they've found Major League Wiffle Ball, especially in the past year, and they really enjoy watching it. So I definitely see how TBS and other opportunities have sort of grown the sport and given it a platform to be viewed by not just younger people, but also some of the adults that, enjoy baseball, see it as a national pastime, and maybe have some memories, some fond memories of playing wiffle ball themselves back when they were younger. But let's shift gears now to the upcoming season at hand, because MLW 2022 getting set to go, and you guys just had the Major League Wiffle Ball draft. So before we talk about this year's draft, how has the draft process over the last 3 years helped to enhance the league? Because obviously a lot of the same faces are still here, but you've seen new faces coming in through the draft, not necessarily from Brighton, Michigan either, that have entered the league and gotten the opportunity to play and have really, fit in well and have, become leaders. You've got a couple of new managers in the league as well over these past few years, running teams and really showing their face and getting really involved.
Yeah, the draft has been huge for us. Just, another idea that was in the mix that we ended up making a reality. But like you said, like many businesses or many YouTube channels, TV shows, whatever it may be, things evolve over time. So for us, our MLW Wiffle Ball League just kind of started amongst friends, neighbors, even just people that could play, and it was very casual for fun. I mean, it still is for fun, but over the years, as demand has gotten higher of people playing, and as we tried to grow and expand, we kind of knew like, okay, eventually we're gonna run out of friends here in our hometown, and how are we gonna keep this thing going? So just from our tournaments we host here locally in Michigan, we noticed there was some interest from people that were relatively local, Metro Detroit folks who are only within an hour or so from where we play our games. So we had the idea to, the first year at least, host a winter league to kind of see who was interested and kind of use that as our draft pool per se. And one of those players happened to be Jimmy Norp. And if you guys are familiar with MLW, he is now, essentially the face of the league. So it's super cool to see that we were able to successfully integrate someone who we didn't even know a few years ago into our leagues and, into our circle of people. And the fans have just responded super well to just the new personalities and the new talent that it's shown. So it's opened up a whole new world of possibilities as to, okay, now we can start looking elsewhere for talent and for personalities and for just people who we think would be a great fit for MLW wiffle ball.
So let's talk about the Midwest Mallards. Of course, last couple years have been tough for you guys, but of course, this is a team that has had a lot of history in this league. 2017 champs, made it to the World Series back-to-back years, and you guys were very active in this draft and really active on draft day. Of course, had the number one pick, went with Jordan Robles. What can you tell us about him?
Man, what can I say about him that he already hasn't proven himself? I mean, for those who aren't familiar, yeah, Robles is probably one of the most, decorated wiffle ball players of all time. He's been playing wiffle ball for, 15 plus years across, national tournaments, some of the most competitive tournaments in the world. And he's actually won these. And at one point, he was even ranked number one nationally by whatever ranking it was. But anyway, so yeah, super talented kid. And we saw him, he was on our radar for many, many years, and once again, as I mentioned before, we have many ideas that float around, and we thought it would be awesome to be able to integrate someone like him into the league. So we came to him with this idea, and he was all for it. So we're excited. Once again, it's kind of a risk. We're seeing once again how is a new personality and someone who's not even from Michigan now going to integrate into this mixture of people. So it should be great. I'm really excited not only for his talent, but just to bring Jordan in and to give him this opportunity and this platform to show people the skill that he has for this game.
Now, you guys at first had a second draft pick for later in the draft after the Trevor Bonham deal last year, a pretty unprecedented mid-season trade in Major League Wiffle Ball last season with Bonham going to the Metro Magic. You guys got that draft pick back and ended up flipping it with the Downtown Diamondbacks in a deal, and you brought in Ben Wilson. So take us through your mindset in making that deal and bringing in Wilson, who we know can make some flashy plays at the plate and also defensively.
Yeah, Ben Wilson's a great player. I mean, when you draft somebody, and now guys have more wiffle ball experience, but in the past we were mostly just drafting, like you said, friends or people who have played in our tournaments or baseball players. But Wilson, I've seen him play in our league, and he's talented. He can hit the ball. He's great defensively. He's been in the big games, and he's delivered in the clutch. So it's kind of, you have to do a little bit of a risk analysis and say, okay, do I want to take a chance on someone who's new to the league, possibly younger, or do I want to try to take a veteran and bring him into the mix for us and give him a platform that I think he's earned. I think he's earned a spot on a starting roster. So with Robles coming in, to me it was like, we're all in now. We're ready to win now. We've been I guess you could say we've been in a rebuild for about a year and a half, 2 years now. Last year we had some pieces, but it wasn't going our way. So I just thought it would make more sense to get some more draft picks. So like I said, I mean, with football, your rosters are only 3 or 4 guys, three to 5 guys. So when you bring in one new piece of talent in Jordan Robles, and then that already shifts your team dramatically to a contender, in my opinion. I know he's going to do well. So why not get one more piece that can also contribute immediately instead of investing someone in the future? I guess when I made the trade for Trevor, I didn't necessarily anticipate that happening, but it's a fluid situation. Things change, and once we had Jordan locked in as our number one pick, I think, why not go for it now? Why wait?
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, there's been so much roster turnover outside of you on this team over the last couple of years. Of course, we're long from the days with you and Noah Dabrico and Steve McPeak winning that World Series, but a lot of changeover on the roster, but we know the National League is stacked. Of course, Daniel Schultz and a very young Eagles team, but definitely has a lot of talent. They made some moves in the draft this year as well. Dallas Allen, so impressive last season. Then, of course, you look at the defending champs, the Downtown Diamondbacks, and never can, underestimate the Great Lakes Gators either, returning that unit of Zerlag, Cheatham, and Jorgensen, who have made a couple additions to their roster as well. So how do you guys plan to stack up against this really tough division?
Yeah, the National League's incredible, and I think that was reflected in the power rankings we recently released as our preseason MLW power rankings. But I don't want anyone to underestimate the American League either. I mean, there really is no weak links. I mean, last year we had the worst record in the league, and I wouldn't say our team was awful. We had moments where we for sure looked awful, but there was a lot of factors that got us to that point prior to our record ending up being 4-11. So, I mean, for me as a manager and as a captain, it's just really just encouraging my guys to take it game by game. Never take an opponent for granted. Just because you win the first 2 games of the series doesn't mean that game 3 is meaningless. Every single game counts, and I know for a fact that the division standings are going to end up within, it could be up to a half game at the end of the year. So every game matters from opening day till game 15, and I just want to attack it pitch by pitch, game by game.
Yeah, for sure. So Major League Wiffle Ball season just a couple of weeks away. Tommy, you mentioned to me you also have a podcast, so I want to give you the opportunity to plug that.
Oh, what a pleasure. Yes, we do have the MLW's Pipe It Up podcast available on all streaming services where we talk about MLW league news, general sports news as well. And it gives you a chance just to see what goes into the production of MLW, learn more about the guys that are a part of the league, and just get more of an inside scoop as to what's going on in our corner.
Great to hear. Great to hear. So that'll just about wrap up our interview. One last thing I got to say, always when we have someone who's a Big Ten rival on the show, I got to mention it. We have beaten you guys. Rutgers has taken down Michigan State in basketball a couple of times. Maybe at some point we'll be on par with you guys for football, but we did beat you 2 years ago. So unfortunately last year, I don't really want to talk about, but.
Hey, tuck coming. That's all I got to say.
All right. Well, Tommy Coughlin, thanks so much for joining us today on Sports Speak.
Thank you very much for having me, Eddie. Always a pleasure.
So that'll just about wrap up this episode. A reminder to follow along on Twitter at SportsSpeak Live for all your latest news and notes. More shows to come on the way. Until next time, I'm Eddie Kalegi, signing off here on episode 95 of SportsSpeak. We hope you have a great rest of your week.